House Republicans asking questions just one day after FBI Director James Comey announced that his agency would not recommend that charges be brought against Hillary Clinton for use of a private email server and for transmitting classified information. Speaker Paul Ryan green-lighted that hearing by House Oversight Committee where FBI Director James Comey could testify, and we're now learning that he could be there as soon as tomorrow. So let's bring in Congressman Jason Chaffetz, the chair of that committee. Good to have you with us this morning, Congressman. What has the communication been with James Comey about this hearing, and when do you expect it to happen?
I did have a conversation with him yesterday. I followed up by having a text interaction with him. We have invited him to participate. He indicated that the best time for him would be Thursday, so we anticipate Thursday at 10 a.m. we should have the FBI director before the Oversight Committee. All
right. Let's look at a little back and forth that will definitely be the underpinning, I would imagine, of some of the questions that you all will have for him. Let's watch these discrepancies between the two accounts.
I never sent or received any classified material. They are retroactively classifying it.
110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received.
Well, it was allowed, and the rules have been clarified since I left about the practice.
None of these emails should have been on any kind of unclassified system. They were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information.
It had numerous safeguards. It was on property guarded by the Secret Service, and there were no security breaches.
We assess it is possible that hostile actors gained access to Secretary Clinton's personal email account.
There's a lot of obvious discrepancies in those accounts. Where do you want to start with Director Comey when you're questioning him?
Well, I'd like to understand more details because there are numerous accounts from Secretary Clinton that were dispelled by the FBI director. I would really like to know the difference between carelessness and negligence, because the director frequently referred to intent, but that's not in the statute. You don't, if you are grossly negligent in the handling of classified information, which clearly, based on the fact pattern that the director laid out, she was, why is that different? And why did he use that word careless, extremely careless, and what's the difference? Because
we've heard that is the definition of gross negligence, to be extremely careless, and he used that phrase clearly. You know, I look forward to seeing this testimony, as I'm sure you all do, because he seems to want very much to get as much out there as he can. He did not take questions yesterday after the news conference, which has been his way in previous appearances. He's usually very happy to take questions, so I think it's encouraging that he says that he's happy to show up and take your questions on Thursday. What about the transcript of the conversation that the FBI had with Hillary Clinton over the weekend? Is that something that you will press for?
Well, I think now that this matter is closed from the FBI's perspective and they're recommending no prosecution, there's no reason why the FBI should withhold information. Senator Grassley made that point yesterday. I echo it. I think they deserve, the American people deserve to be able to see this. You know, we're different in this nation. We're open. We're transparent. That's who we are. And we learn from these issues and try to make it better. And if somehow somebody is dealing in classified information for years on time and putting people in harm's way and yet still not prosecuted, the law probably needs to be updated, or they're not properly applying the law, and that's why we need to explore this.
Yeah, I think it would be of great interest to know whether or not Hillary Clinton said in her testimony with the FBI, the members of the FBI, that she had never sent or received any classified information, because that would constitute being misleading to the FBI during an investigation, no?
Well, yes. I mean, look, politicians will make statements that sometimes are proved to be inaccurate, wrong, or false, or a lie. But there are things that Secretary Clinton has said under oath, and there are things that she may or may not have said to investigators along the way that I think are fair game, and that she created this problem. It wasn't Republicans. It was she created this convenient email service with herself in her own home. And I think that goes to the intent. And I want to ask the director, what was the intent? You say she couldn't prove intent, but why did she set this up? My recollection is she set this up on the very day she started her Senate confirmation. She could have easily had a government account, but no, she decided to have her own. Well, why?
But, Congressman, I think a lot of people at home watch this and they say, you know what, it's over. Forget about it, move on. Is it over? Legally, is it over in your mind?
We have a lot of more questions. Ultimately, the jury is the American public. I mean, you've seen this in Benghazi, where she told the truth to the Egyptians, and she told the truth to her daughter, but she lied to the American people. She misled the American people on what the disposition of these emails were. America should go into this eyes wide open and understand how she deals with this and how she communicates in her version of an open and transparent way, because I think between the Inspector General, who we're also inviting to come in, and the FBI Director, I think you're going to find that what she said and what she did were two totally different things.
Will you ask him questions about his understanding of, what direction the investigation should take? Because there's some suggestion that, that Loretta Lynch and her discussion with Bill Clinton on the plane, and perhaps the message from DOJ that, they needed just a little bit more to go on from the FBI. How much do you want to get there?
Well, I'd love to ask the director. He started his comments by saying he had no communication, that did not know what they're going to say. Now, I will note that on the Judiciary Committee next week, Bob Goodlatte, the chairman there, has the Attorney General coming before that committee. So we're going to have a couple of different opportunities to ask people under oath what happened and didn't happen. And of course we want to know that. I particularly want to know from the director, he indicated that there was purposeful destruction of the hardware that was housing this by the attorneys.
That's right.
What's the consequence of that?
Yeah.
I mean, to do it intentionally so that it couldn't be put back together, that's pretty troubled.
He said there was no precedent. In many ways, this sets a precedent for what's allowed. And that's also a very serious situation in many people's minds. Congressman Chaffetz, thank you so much. We look forward to it. See you next time.